Now, schools have reopened, but some teachers say they fear losing their jobs if they don't get vaccinated against COVID-19. A basic education department circular says teachers must take the shots. Has the department threatened teachers who have not taken the vaccines or who do not choose to take vaccines? I'm joined now by the department's spokesperson, Mr. Mhlanga. Mr. Mhlanga, thank you for your time this afternoon. Following the distribution of the circular, there seems to be a level of nervousness and apprehension from some teachers who have chosen not to get vaccinated. What is the status quo? What is the department's stance towards mandatory vaccination?
Good afternoon, Tammy. Well, there's no need to fear, there's no need for panic, there's no need for anxiety or even confusion. I think what must happen is that people must read that 7-page circular very slowly and maybe just do it again. If there's something that you don't understand, just get someone else to explain. And we're also available to explain. Basically, what it does is to provide guidance to schools and to help teachers to understand what is going to happen if you go back to school without having taken the vaccine. All that it does is to say that if you have not vaccinated for a medical reason, you are expected to bring a medical report, and the department will use that report to examine your reasons for not vaccinating. But we know that other people are not vaccinating for constitutional reasons, religious, cultural, others, and some, in fact, have since advanced such reasons as a reason for not taking the vaccine. But we are saying the department, schools will go all out to accommodate them and work with them to make sure that they too are able to keep their employment and still be able to do what they have been employed to do.
And what has the uptake been from the educators as far as those who are for vaccination?
No, it's quite huge. You might have heard the MEC in Gauteng saying in the province it was at 93%. But nationally, we're at 90%. I mean, out of the 582,000 people that we initially targeted, when we formally closed the program, we were at 517,000. And we know that after that, we had a lot more teachers going through to the vaccination site to also get injected with the vaccine. So we are happy. The numbers are good. In fact, way beyond our expectation. It's just that, you will never have 100% coverage. But there are many reasons that led to some not getting the vaccine. Some had already been infected with the coronavirus. Others, because of hesitancy that we are talking about. But we've received lots of emails from those saying that they are now willing to get the vaccine. We know that some of them have said because they are pregnant, they don't want to risk their lives, so they stayed away. We know that some were sick due to other issues. So there are valid reasons why people were not able to get vaccinated. But if you have taken a decision not to, then you'll need to let us know what those reasons are.
And looking at the circular here, under 3.2, it's labeled educators who elect to exercise their right not to be vaccinated. You highlight some of these issues and the reasons why people would elect not to be vaccinated. You say for constitutional or medical grounds, what needs to happen if those are the grounds that they are submitting?
Well, for medical, then they'll have to bring the report, the medical report, which the department will consider. And the department has the right to use that report to make a decision on how you are going to be assisted. We are talking there about bringing counselors. We are talking there about creating spaces for isolation for those people who feel they want to be at work but they can't due to other reasons. For cultural and otherwise, there's counseling as well that's going to be made available. And we are going to look at their responsibilities to see if they can work from home. Otherwise, we'll have to look at other matters. So there are many options that are there, and there are many things that are going to be considered before anyone loses their job. In fact, that's the last resort. Even that point, we don't foresee us getting to it because we know that a huge majority of our personnel want to be protected against the virus, but they also want to keep their jobs, so they're going to cooperate with us.
You mentioned something there, and perhaps that is where the level of apprehension comes from. You say you don't want to reach the point where people can end up losing their jobs, that is a very slight eventuality. But the fact that that is even used, and that's a phrase that's used, is cause for concern. Under what circumstances would those who refuse to vaccinate lose their jobs?
No, there we're talking about incapacity leave, and we're talking about all those operational measures that are in place in the Labour Relations Act and also in the Employment of Educators Act, where you really consider leaving the job because you cannot work in that environment because you feel it's not there for you. But before we get there, there's counseling. Before you get there, there's an isolation room that can be made available to you. And before we get there, there are ways of trying to find space for you to work alone. Or we change your responsibilities and you work remotely. So the first thing that the department wants to do is to accommodate people with their reservations against the vaccine, not to let them go. We don't want to do that. But we are saying all eventualities, all possibilities are there. And if you so feel that you want to take incapacity leave, which means you leave your employment, you will have to do that. But even that, it will have to happen through your consent. You are not going to be forced to leave your job because you have not been vaccinated. That would be an incorrect reading of what we are talking about. Anyway, we believe that those cases will be very small because, like I said, a lot more people are coming forward now saying we want to get vaccinated, and we believe it's the right thing to do, simply because people had waited to see if the colleagues around them are going to get vaccinated, and they've seen that the large majority of the people that they know have taken the virus, but on a day-to-day basis, other people are dying as well due to the COVID-19, which is still around us. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. The employer has an obligation to create a safe environment for those that are vaccinated and those that are not vaccinated. But before we get there, we need to know why it is that you have not been vaccinated so that we can better accommodate you.
And in the instance where one's reasons are for religious beliefs and religious convictions, how do you deal with those particular cases?
That's why we bring counselors so that they can talk to you about your views and your beliefs and to balance that against the environment in which you find yourself as an employee. Remember, we are also anticipating a situation where some people are going to say a huge majority of us are vaccinated. We don't feel comfortable working with someone who's refusing to get vaccinated. So what are you going to do about us? Now you have a difficult situation of having to manage the views of the majority versus the beliefs of one person. Now we need to find another way. That's why we're saying if that school has facilities to create an isolation room, that person will have to be taken to that isolation space. But these are complex issues that needs to be balanced quite sensitively because we're talking about people's beliefs here, which in some cases trump all other things that people are engaged in.
And there are also constitutional issues in the sense that one has the right to associate or practice whichever religion that they choose to associate and cannot be discriminated against on those bases. Your comments on that?
Well, it's the balance that I was talking about. At the same time, the people that you work with must also feel like, they are being taken seriously because they have chosen to take the vaccine and they're choosing not to take it. They would like to know what it is that's better than a vaccine that you have that's going to protect you and protect them. It depends on the nature of the work that you do, but if they don't want to work with you, that is going to cause operational problems in the workplace. So those constitutional rights must also take into account the rights of the learners, if you are an educator, the right of your colleagues. So now, if we really have to go in that direction, then it will have to be whose rights are, better than the other person.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Mhlanga, before I let you go. In 3.2.6 in the circular, you say that the department shall take reasonable steps to accommodate the educator by making amendments to their role or work environment in one or more of the following ways, and then you name those. When you talk about making amendments to their role, could this also imply demotion in some instances?
No. It's just a job. For example, if you are a teacher and you are not able to work, we'll have to find other ways. I mean, if there are administrative tasks that you can do, or maybe if it's only marking that you can do and you're no longer able to teach because you're working from home, then marking will all that you're doing. If yours is preparing lesson plans, for example, for other teachers who are in school because you're not able to be in school, that will be all that you're doing. But all of those things will have to be done in consultation with yourself because the complexity of this situation is brought on by yourself. So you need to be part of the solution as well.
Mr. Elijah Mhlanga, thank you for that clarity this afternoon. He is the spokesperson for the Department of Basic Education.